The other day, I was having a fine time driving around, just running some errands, just a typical day in your favourite Australian YouTuber's life. Sorry, second favourite. When are Children of Poseidon making a comeback, guys? This was until some roided up lead with plucked eyebrows and male lip filler at a Ford Raptor came up beside me via the left-hand lane at a no-right turn intersection and cut me off for no reason, almost causing a crash, and then, of course, was an indignant piece of shit about it. And in that moment, I got it. I've got to apologise. After 15 years of Labor shilling, I have it. You can only push a man so long. I'm voting Dutton. Oh, sorry, that was very temporary haze. I'm still voting Labor because if you do the most cursory amount of research into what Dutton stands for, it becomes very apparent that anything even slightly appealing about Dutton is just posing. Did you know that Dutton's pro-shit Leb drivers? Only Labor has the policy of cutting brake lines to replace fines. Plus, voting based on road rage racism is pretty stupid. What we need to really sort this epidemic of awful drivers out is some sort of demonstration or protest, if you will, where good drivers with good Anglo-Celtic names go down to a beach, Cronulla perhaps, and protest all these bad drivers being brought into Australia. I really should clarify and stop facetiously calling for Cronulla riots too, just in case I do end up accidentally pulling an Alan Jones. We don't want a Cronulla riots 2.0. Bronte Beach is a far better option because if shit hits the fan, the skiffs can retreat into the water. And as everyone knows, Lebs find it hard to swim at the best of times. The waves are too big for them. We still do need to come up with a contingency plan for jet skis though, but that's another day. All right, I'll be serious now. I'm not being facetious when I say this either. It is actually dispiriting that there isn't a genuine right-wing party in Australia that is able to stick to their purported principles over the desires of foreign capital. This is going to be a theme of my videos right up until the election, so you get damn used to it. I'm trying to get into all of your heads that every time Dutton's cultural posturing clashes with policy objectives of the elite win without fail. I mean, first off, unlike me, Dutton's not really racist. After all, he insists that he isn't. He's just cool with killing Arabs for no reason. Whereas I have the very principled position of thinking Israel is airstriking the wrong kind of Arabs. Bibi, can you give the kids in Gaza a break? Send some of your rockets over to the intersections of St. George. In December, Dutton backflipped on a promise to halve net migration. Instead, refusing to set a target until after the election. I'm guessing it's going to be more than half. Now, you might be saying, oh, maybe he's waiting until after the election to not risk revealing the perfect policy, a policy that will enrage the migration lobby. The Berghain of migration policy. Strict, arbitrary, German, a little bit gay. But no, if you watched our shorter things, you'd already know. When Dutton and the Liberals were last in government, they were boasting about record legal migration, which, let's be honest, is almost the only migration that concerns Australia, even before Operation Sovereign Borders. It was like a few canoes that tried to enter Australia illegally. Most illegal immigrants are visa overstayers, so they begin as legal migrants. We're not the USA. We don't have land borders, unless you're an India truther and you think that the subcontinent is located where the supposed Great Australian Bight is. No one's ever seen the Bight, but I've seen at least 20 Indians. And guess who benefited most from these illegal immigrants? The National Party's big ag donors. It was estimated that 2/3 of these overstayers work in agriculture, which explains why the last time the Nationals were in power, they were trying to give amnesty to these illegal immigrants. Tough on migration, am I right? Now, you can debate the merits of that all you like, but please don't tell me that the party that proposed amnesty for 2/3 of Australia's undocumented workers, boasting about allowing record legal migration and still refuses to set a target for net migration, is the party that is tough on migration. I've said it a million times, but I'll say it again. Howard doubled migration. This shit started with the Liberals, and Dutton will continue Howard's legacy because it gets worse. When Labor proposed legislation to cut the number of international students coming in each year by 53,000, Dutton teamed up with the Greens to block it. In an awful convergence of everything wrong with Australian Parliament, the convergence of the Greens' woke politics, who were ostensibly blocking the cut because it was racist, and the coalition's complete inability to not act on the desires of big business on literally anything. I mean, how nuts is the Greens' reasoning to begin with that any sort of migration policy is racist? It's not like Labor are proposing to block one race of particularly aggressive drivers from entering. Although, you could email your MPs about that if you want. Whilst we're on the topic, we may as well continue going on about the international student scam. And this isn't a dig at student migrants, by the way. Without them, I doubt Sydney would have any million lives. And around 1 million less lives. Thank you. Links to buy my tickets in the show. Fuck. Because as with virtually everything wrong in Australia today, it was Howard's fault. They opened the floodgates. They made universities addicted to international students. In 1998, the number of international students in Australia was around 100k. In 2023, it was almost 800,000, giving Australia the highest percentage of international students in the entire world. Come on, we're not that smart. And despite what the sector cries over and over again, this obviously puts upward pressure on housing, and economic benefits of international students are severely overblown. The $40 billion of exports figure usually touted by proponents of international students is incredibly misleading. The way the ABS came to it was by multiplying the number of international students with the average tourist spend, plus educational fees. Ooh, numbers don't lie, eh? Unless you use your university degree. I mean, I really don't need to go into why that's obviously wrong, do I? I think it's pretty self-apparent that international students are going to have different spending habits to tourists who are coming to Australia for like 2 weeks to see the Great Barrier Reef. The students are obviously spending way more because of their crippling million life addictions. Huh? Ugh, God, sorry. It's not my best work. This is probably only my third best video of all time. But the short point is that Dutton is refusing to reform immigration in any meaningful way whatsoever, and I usually cringe when people compare Dutton to Trump because usually it's done by the worst people in a very Freudian way, as really the comparison they're making usually isn't Dutton to Trump. It's Trump and Dutton to their dad, who they resent because he's too masculine. So, not the best way to go about politics, but that being said, I'm now happy to compare Dutton to Trump. But not because I resent male authority figures, it's only women in power who I resent, but because they're both unserious about advancing the values they won't shut up about. Like, this migration shit from Dutton's part is like a sadder version of the H-1B saga in the USA when Trump all of a sudden reversed his position letting in cheap foreign workers to replace Americans because Elon Musk needed a large supply of Brahmin priests to perform the spells that makes the Tesla self-drive. That and answer the questions that you pose to Grok. Yes. I'm an India truther in more than one way. They want you to believe that AI stands for artificial intelligence. No, behind every AI answer to a question, there is AI. Another Indian. And then to compensate for the actual lack of action on immigration, the Trump administration has been organising these pretty grotesque spectacles like disappearing an innocent Palestinian to sending a bunch of tattoo fans to be disappeared by a less innocent Palestinian, all to distract from the reality that he's actually pretty weak on immigration. And I can forgive Trump for this because he's funny and sucks shit Americans. I'm here in Australia and I've got free healthcare. But if Dutton gets in, I won't be able to be so smug. He's like Trump without all the stuff that makes Trump amazing. He's not funny. His stunts are designed to make him look tough on migration aren't even interesting. Like proposing a referendum to strip dual citizenship criminals of their citizenship. Who the fuck cares? Just put them in jail and stop letting in so many cunts. But that's not what the oligarchs want. They're fine with the dual citizens proposal because it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't affect the flow of cheap labour, doesn't put downward pressure on demand. Fuck, it would barely deport any crims. It would probably just be used for Mahmoud Khalil-like stunts to send some Palestinian supporter back to Beirut, which again, I'd be all for, not because of the Palestinian support, but because of my own road rage. But look, at virtually the same time Dutton was proposing this referendum to look tough on migration, he was also cooking up plans to bring back pay-to-stay visas after being asked at a fundraiser by an immigration agent nicknamed the Queen of Immigration. Because with Dutton, just like with Trump, it's just whatever the highest bidders want. And unfortunately, Australia's highest bidders are so shit. Come on. At least with Miriam Adelson, she could teach Gina Reinhardt a couple of things about fashion. Speaking of fashion, see my ugly face. That was drawn by Michael Cusack, proud creator of things. No, I did it for a joke. I'm a big fan of his stuff. I mean, who could not be a fan of the fuck? Anyway, he's done a collab with me. You can get it at friendlyjordies.com. I really like the shirts, even though they're paying me out a bit too much for my liking. But still, I like the price. Link to buy tickets to my show in the description. Just needed to add, between filming and this coming out, the coalition did come up with some numbers, which were pretty much the exact same numbers they came up with last year and then walked back. I swear, Dutton's just copying Trump. Hey, who knows if any of his policies will remain the same from one day to the next anymore? It's all part of the plan, guys. Keep up the faith.